be ye grieved. And all the people went their way to eat and to drink and to send portions and to make great mirth, because they had understood the words that were declared unto them. And on the second day were gathered together the chief of the fathers of all the people, the priests and the Levites, unto Ezra the scribe, even to understand the words of the Lord. And they found written in the law, which the Lord had commanded by Moses, that the children of Israel should dwell in booths in the feast of the 7th month.
Read on.
And that they should publish and proclaim in all their cities and in Jerusalem, saying, Go forth unto the mount, and fetch olive branches, and pine branches, and myrtle branches, and palm branches, and branches of thick trees, to make booths, as it is written. So the people went forth and brought them, and made themselves booths, every one upon the roof of his house, and in their courts, and in the courts of the house of God, and in the street of the water gate, and in the street of the gate of Ephraim.
Stop. So, what strikes me when I read this here is that Ezra, when we came back in the land, old people were so disconnected from the laws and our customs that they didn't even know there was a feast of booths. And they had to begin keeping it again. And also, if you notice, they built them on the top of the roofs of their houses. That means their houses was flat. It wasn't those peaks like you see now. That's Esau stuff. But it was flat that they built them. And here's the thing. They built them with palms and whatever they said. Let me go back and read myself. Olive branches and pine branches and myrtle branches, and they built it upon the house. Sidebar, I'm going to get back. So for us today, we're rehearsing these acts, right? We're trying to come back and keep these days. Don't let there be no murmuring amongst each other whose tent is too nice. And that's foolishness. Unless you're going to build it with a tree and palms and willows of the brook, you ain't keeping it the way it's written. There's no Ozarka in there or whatever tent the people make. Oh, this tent is too nice. You ain't ready to live in it. Please, I'll be laughing at stuff I be hearing. Show me somebody that's going to build it the way the scripture prescribed. And I'll say, okay, well then, he does got a point. Until that, we all just trying to get this thing right. But here's the point. Now watch this. Verse 14. Verse 14.
And they found written in the law, which the Lord had commanded by Moses.
And they found, don't that strike you? And they found written in the law. That means they were so disconnected. They didn't know it. They found written in the law, what?
Which the Lord had commanded by Moses, that the children of Israel should dwell in booths in the feast of the 7th month.
Okay, now watch this. Jump on down to verse 17, because we read this already.
And all the congregation of them that were come again out of the captivity made booths, and sat under the booths. For since the days of Jeshua, the son of Nun, unto that day, had not the children of Israel done so, and there was very great gladness.
Did you understand that from the time of Joshua until then, we didn't keep this feast day? So from then to now, we're doing the same thing now. We're coming back to start keeping these feast days. And by the grace of the Most High, and again, I'm only stating fact, the Most High used IUIC to lead the way to bring people back to this custom, to come back and keep this custom. That's why you see all these other camps now doing it. And all praises belong to the Most High, not to us. But the Most High just uses us as the vessel. He's dwelling in our tabernacles that we now can instruct others how to keep tabernacles. To remember when we once were like beasts on the earth with no certain dwelling place. He wants us to remember you need me. I'm going to protect you. Remember, okay, so let's stop that. Let's go back to where we was at? Leviticus, that's right, thank you.
We were in Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 41.
So give me the willows and...
verse 40.
Yeah.
And he shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days.
So we would take goodly trees, healthy trees. For those trees to be healthy, God would have to have blessed us with rain, with fertile ground. You would take the leaves of palms. That's what you made the roofs with, of the little structure you had, so the rain can roll down it. Imagine if it didn't rain throughout the summer months, spring months. All those palms would be brittle. You know what happened? You come into the winter months and you don't got no structure. You have no booth to be under. The willows of the brooks you ever seen a willow tree, how it hangs and it got all that stringy stuff on it? That's what made the sides of your structure. And it says willows of the brook, because everything that grows close to water is more fertile, is stronger, is healthier. So let's go to these curses real quick. We're going to come right back here. Deuteronomy 28. Let's see what disobeying God brings us. Deuteronomy 28, and I want Brad, 23.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 23. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron.
Read.
The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust.
He said he shall make your rain what?
Powder and dust.
Read on.
From heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed.
Hey, Deacon, find me that scripture. Remember he talks about the grapes they carried? Like that. He said, I'm going to read that. I got distracted. Read that again.
The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust.
So the Lord said, I'm going to punish you. If you're disobedient, I'm not going to allow it to rain. I'm going to make your heaven as brass and your earth as iron. I'm going to make your rain powder. So think about this. The beginning of the year, it's warm outside. There's no rain. You go into a drought. Nothing is really growing. Are you going to have goodly trees? Nope. Are you going to have boughs by the brook that's going to be healthy? No. So now you're coming into your winter months, the month of ingathering. You're not going to gather much harvest to make it through those mean seasons. You're not going to have the trees. You found it? Hold that. Numbers 13, 23. You're not going to have that. I'm going to show you in the scriptures when the ground was fertile, what it yielded. Read that real quick.
Numbers chapter 13, verse 23.
Thank you.
And they came unto the brook of Eshcol and cut down from thence a branch with one cluster of grapes.
Stop. This again, look where they're at the brook. They cut down one cluster of grapes. Read on.
And they bear it between two upon a staff.
You understand? 2 men to carry one cluster of grapes. Today you can carry 10 cluster of grapes in one hand. 2 men to carry one cluster of grapes. That's when we was a rulership. The land was yielding to us. Something you want to say? That's when the land was yielding. Moses said, I'll make your heaven as brass. I'll make your rain powder. The land will not yield. So let's go back. Okay. You read verse 24? Yeah, you read that. Now hold this. We're going to come back to Deuteronomy. I'm going to go back to Leviticus. I want 40 one more time.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 40. And he shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days.
So we would take it and we would build these structures, praise the Most High that the land was fruitful and plentiful, the trees grew healthy. We was able to hew down the trees to build a structure. We was able to feed our crops, feed our animals, because the land was prospering, or animals gave us milk to make it through the winter months, we had it. Without that, there'll be nothing for them to eat. They would starve to death, and we would starve to death. So let's go from that real quick. I'm going to go to the book of Exodus 34. You can look at Leviticus. We're not going to come back here now. Exodus 34, verse 22.
The book of Exodus, chapter 34 and verse 22. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end.
And the feast of ingathering, which is at the year's end. So at the year's end, we would observe the feast of ingathering. So let me ask you a question. Let me see who's thinking. At the year's end, we would gather in the fruits. We would give a portion to God. And then we would do what? We would what? Come together and do what? Not just so. We'd come together and feast and thank the Lord for the bountiful harvest. What do they call that today? Thanksgiving. That was our custom. Gad and them used to keep the Feast of Ingathering. And Esau came and turned it to Thanksgiving. And that ungodly custom grown strong. Now you think it's no. They kept it. They understood. They praised God and thanked Him. And now we call it Thanksgiving. Now we ain't doing that. Not me. And if you call it Thanksgiving, the Feast of Ingathering, these people are dead. Do you call it Thanksgiving? All right, the Feast of Ingathering. They will take everything we have and they will remix it. We got Christ, they make Him white. Our feast days, they turn it into pagan days. Okay, anyway. Okay, and the Feast of Ingathering, right? Sirach 29. (29, 21).
Sirach chapter 29 and verse 21. The chief thing for life is water and bread and clothing and an house to cover shame. Better is the life of a poor man in a mean cottage than delicate fare in another man's house.
Okay, watch this. So the chief things in life, read it one more time for me. I lost my, I got it. The chief things in life is water, bread, clothing, and a house to cover shame. So when we were in the wilderness, did not the Lord give us what? Bread, water, clothes, and a tabernacle to cover all shame. What is He letting us know? The chief things in life, He supplies them. I am the source, He's telling you. You need me. I want you to acknowledge that if I didn't give you a good land, you would have froze to death in the winter when that mean season came in. Because the end of the year harvest is generally the harvest of corn. That's why they parch the corn. If you don't have no food, if those trees did not bear and was healthy, what were we going to do? We were going to die. He said, I fed you with manna. I gave you water. I gave you clothes. I gave you shoes. I gave you a house. You better give me back what I want, and I want your obedience. And many of our forefathers disobeyed. And that's why we read Leviticus 25. When they went into servitude, they had to sell their land to another Israelite that might have been keeping the commandments. God made it rain over there. The land was good over there. Over here, He said it ain't going to be good for you. You're going to sell your children to servitude. You're going to wax poor. He said, you forsake me, and I promise I'm going to forsake you. So He wants us to remember when we was in the wilderness that he was our life force. He was everything. And he doesn't want us to forget it. Every year, keep this feast and remember me. Remember what I did for you. Don't ever play me like I'm second in your life. Deuteronomy 8. Deuteronomy 8. So with verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 1. All the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers.
Read.
And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee.
To what?
To humble thee, and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no.
He says, and thou shalt remember the way which the Lord thy God led thee 40 years in the wilderness. He said, you're going to remember this. I want you to remember and tell your children, listen, for 40 years, all forefathers roamed around the wilderness like sojourners with no place to dwell. He said he did it to do what? To humble us. And to what?
To prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no.
Whether we would keep his commandments or not. Now watch what he says next. Read.
And he humbled thee, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knowest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doth man live.
God said the way he humbled us was he starved us. I'll make you suffer a little bit out there. And then I'm going to give you manna. But first I'm going to tighten you up and just make you feel. Then I'm going to bless you. And when we got the blessing, what did we do? We hoarded it. We still reset to the same thing. That's why the Most High said when he judges, it wasn't because he wasn't merciful. He's long suffering. But after a while, it's just like, you just can't get right. And 2/3 of us just won't get right. He said, I'm going to humble you and I'm going to starve you out, but then I'm going to give you manna. And that manna is angel's food. And it's going to have the taste to your liking. Whatever you want to taste like, I'm going to put a spirit on it that you taste like that. And you thirsty, I'm going to give you water, but I'm going to make it sweet for you. I'm going to make it all right for you. You want flesh? I'm going to give you birds, but you can't even wait to cook it. So you people are, my spirit can't strive with man, boy, I tell you. Then he says right there, he says, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only. He said, I'm going to do this because I want you to understand that you don't live by bread only. You live by me. I'm the one providing the bread. So I'm going to starve you, and then I'm going to let you know, okay, I'm going to give you bread, and I want you to understand that that bread is not what's keeping you alive. It's me that's keeping you alive. And we all better think like that now. Don't trust no uncertain riches. You better understand it's the Lord's mercy that we're here. Look what he says next. Read.
Verse 4. Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years.
He said, your clothes did not wax old upon you for 40 years, neither did your foot swell. Here's the answer to that. Deuteronomy 29. Thank you. Watch this. What verse you said, Deacon?
Verse 5. Deuteronomy 29 and verse 5. And I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes are not waxen old upon you, and thy shoe is not waxen old upon thy foot.
That's why your foot wasn't swole. Imagine if you was out there with no shoes 40 years. How was you going to get shoes in the first place? Where was you going to get it from? From your cattle, from your animals? They had to have been healthy. So now imagine this. Okay, we're going to go back to Deuteronomy 28 in a second. It's the Feast of Ingathering, right? You're gathering your crops at the end of the year. whatever you have. But you was a sinner. Watch how God meditate terror. Deuteronomy 28, I want you to read 21.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 21.
No, stop this. I want you to read verse 16.
Verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
When it says, cursed thou shalt be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field, we know prophetically it's talking about us going to captivity. Slavery, right? But in the vein of what he's talking about, how are you cursed in the city and cursed in the field? You're cursed in the field because your crops will not yield. And then when you go to sell what you have, you don't got nothing to sell. Because you remember, we all had land, but then there was a city that we came into. So we had our lands, then you had the suburbs, which is outside of the city, where the Levites would keep their stuff, and then you come into the city where we did commerce. Remember Tobit came and sold what he had? I don't want to go to this, but you know, if you know what I'm talking about, read Tobit, was it 4 or something like that? Is that the right chapter? Tobit 1, okay. Anyway, so here's the point. What's Tobit 4 saying? Oh, no, I know, forget it. Tobit 1. So then you come to the city and you don't have nothing to sell. All your grapes look mager, they look skinny. All your stuff, you don't have nothing growing there. You ain't selling, you're not yielding. So cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field. Read on.
Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store.
Cursed shall be thy basket, your stuff, and your store. Your store is not talking about your corner store, it's your storage. How you stored your stuff, it's going to be cursed. Read on.
Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
Now, how's the fruit of your body cursed, the fruit of thy land cursed, and the fruit of thy kind and flocks and thy sheep? Because your land is not yielding. So what are your children eating? Your animals not producing milk because there's no vegetation for them to eat from. Because the Lord made your heavens as part of your earth. He's telling you the chief things in life. He said, you need, I'm the one that provide them from you. Don't ever play me left or play me. I will forsake you. Play with me and see what happens to you. You're going to sell your servant to servitude. Your daughter's going to be sold into servitude. And we stood and listened. He said, okay, I got one better for you. I'm going to sell you to slavery to your enemies. Because I gave your brothers some judgments on how to deal with you. But that wasn't good enough. I got some ships for you to go on. I got some change. You're going to find out what it is to work with rigor. Let's read.
Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out.
From birth to death. Read on.
The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed.
He shall send upon thee cursing and vexation and rebuke. Everything you set your hand to do is not, I planted, it didn't, what happened? The insects ate it. Damn, I planted, the hail came and destroyed it. Damn, I planted, damn, I reaped it. I put it in storage and it's spoiled. A couple of seasons of that. Yo, Amaziah, you think you got some work for me? Lord, man, listen. Damn. For me and my family, we'll work for you. All right, well, I got some horse dung I need swept up, All right, we're going to get to it now, sir. God said, play with me. Read on.
And until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me, the Lord shall make the...
Stop. Wherehouse thou what?
Whereby thou hast forsaken
And
me.
that's why you understand why you became a Hebrew servant. Lord is punishing you. Read on.
The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whether thou goest to possess it.
So damn, read on.
The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with the blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish.
God said, and the Lord shall smite thee with a consumption. We looked at the word consumption the other day. What is it again? I forgot. Tuberculosis. He said, I'm gonna smite you with tuberculosis. Now watch this. And with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. Listen, I'm going to bring curse on you left and right. So now, how does tuberculosis come about? Anybody know? Good. Right. Where does the tuberculosis come from? Mice, droppings. So what does that have to do with this? Go to Amos 4, verse 9. Hey, which one do you remember the Palmer wood? Remember when we read the other day, the Palmer wood? It's a Palmer wood. Yeah, Palmer wood. Somebody find it for me real quick. Palmer worm. That's what I'm thinking about. Your Palmer worm. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, 4 and 9.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 4 and verse 9. I have smitten you with blasting and mildew.
So you know what that mildew is? Remember it says, cursed shall be that basket in thy store. In the year's end, when you store your corn and your grain, if any type of moisture gets in there, it'll mildew. If any kind of insects or mice get in there, it will begin to eat your stuff, defecate, urinate, and then you go back and eat that stuff. And now you got tuberculosis. Now you got the consumption. Now you got fever. The Most High will meditate terror. He said, I'll make this slow. You're going to catch it from every corner. Read.
I have smitten you with blasting and mildew, when your gardens and your vineyards and your fig trees and your olive trees increased. The palmer worm devoured them. Yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord.
He said, yet you still not return. He said, the palmer would have devoured them. So you gather whatever little crops you can gather. And then the Lord said, I'm going to let those insects and those vermins eat that stuff and destroy it. And then you're going to go behind and eat it anyway because you guys try to salvage what you could salvage. Now imagine that, going through that. And then you don't have no tabernacles to really dwell with your wife and your children. The goodly boughs didn't grow. The palms were brittle and dry. The olive branches didn't yield. Where was you sleeping? Psalms 147. Say again? Yeah, hold on. Then let's go. Here.
I sent to the captain's telegram.
Oh, he sent to the captain's telegram. Well, just bring it up.
All right. This is clinical infectious diseases. Racial differences in tuberculosis infection in the United States. This is a 2011 article, but it's still prominent today. Previously reported associations between race, ethnicity, and tuberculosis infection have lacked sufficient adjustment for socioeconomic factors, meaning how we live, or how we analyze race, ethnicity, and self-reported tuberculosis infection data from the coronary artery risk development, young adults, blah, 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 cardium, go down. TB is among the leading conditions for which disparities in disease rates between blacks and whites exist. According to the Center for Disease Control, CDC, and Prevention, of the 4,378 cases of TB reported in the United States, born patients in 2010, 40% were among non-Hispanic blacks, meaning blacks, a rate 8 times higher than that among non-Hispanic whites, meaning white folks. Similarly, the prevalence of latent TB infection in U.S.-born individuals is 5%, 5.7% among blacks, significantly higher than 2.5% of Mexican Americans and 1.1% in whites. So blacks get it more than Southern Kingdom gets it more than Northern Kingdom, but they get it also. The proposed causes of this disparity include environmental and host factors, as well as differences in comorbid conditions that affect risk of, I don't know what comorbid means. Let's look that up. Comorbid conditions that affect risk of developing TB once infected, such as human immunity, HIV, which you get that. In some studies, low socioeconomic status is reported to account for a significant proportion of the increased risk for TB seen in blacks in the U.S. However, others indicate it could be genetic susceptibility to infection, blah, blah, blah. But the point is that blacks are more susceptible to TB, period. In the U.S., there's in 2011. But I'm pretty sure if you look for further information, it's probably the same thing. Based upon racial disparity, living conditions, which are still the same since 2011. So I'm pretty sure it's the same percentage as today as it was back then.
You know, one thing you read in that court, it says low immune systems. Yeah. So with that, if our crops wasn't yielding, we wasn't eating the right things to survive. It was all a setup. God said, I'm going to forsake you if you forsake me. And Most High is methodical. He's methodical. He said, I will slowly break you down and let you acknowledge me. So back to Tabernacles. Where we left off, Cap?
You called Psalms 147, but you didn't give the verse.
The snow. I forgot what it was. Psalm 147. Like 50. I don't know how many verses in 147, but it's towards the. Anybody remember what's at? Psalms 1. Let me go there.
Verse 16. Psalms 147, verse 16.
Let me get there with you now. 47. Go ahead.
He giveth snow like wool. He scattereth the hoarfrost like ashes. He casteth forth his ice like morsels.
No. Start with verse 15.
Verse 15. He sendeth forth his commandment upon earth. His word runneth very swiftly. He giveth snow like wool. He scattereth the hoarfrost like ashes. He casteth forth his ice like morsels. Who can stand before his cold?
Who can stand before his cold? No man can stand before his cold. So he says, being that you can't stand before it, I'm going to give you tabernacles. Just take these trees here, build yourself some shelter so you can survive this mean season. So we commemorate this day of this Feast of Tabernacle, and that God gave us a deliverance. Like always, when we do right by him, he's going to do right by us. But when we forsake him, he said, who's going to stand before my cold? Is there more? Read on.
Verse 18. He sendeth out his word and melteth them. He causeth his wind to blow and the waters flow.
That's good. Go to the book of Job. Job 37. Bear me 1 second. Job 37. I want verse. Start with verse 5.
Job chapter 37 and verse 5. God thundereth marvelously with his voice. Great things doeth he, which we cannot comprehend. For he saith to the snow, be thou on the earth, likewise to the small rain, and to the great rain of his strength. He sealeth up the hand of every man, that all men may know his work.
That all men may know his work. Read on.
Then the beasts go into dens and remain in their places.
Look what it says. Because of the weather he brings, he says, even the beasts go into their den and remain in their places. They can't stand against his cold. So he gives them a place to what? To hibernate. Likewise, he gave us a place. That's why he called us beasts. He said, when we was roaming like beasts on the earth. Because when the cold came, we hurried. We took our food, what we had, we stored it, and we stayed away during the mean season. So when we keep these feast days, we remember that God saved us. So we come out here, it's not about all, not saying we don't enjoy ourselves, but just consider that we praise God and thank him. When we had these storms last year, many of us that were affected by it, praise God that you had a house to walk into, turn a key, and go on the other side. While people was out in the street freezing throughout those storms. Where's that? Where's again? Isaiah talks about the tempest storms. Isaiah 29. Thank you. Let's go to that real quick. Isaiah 29.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 29 and verse 6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire.
That's how the Lord said he's going to visit us, with storms and tempests. And he also delivers us with what? With no rain. He's also delivered us with diseases. Read that one more time for me.
Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire.
Okay, so I want to go back. Let me deal with this Feast of Ingathering. We read it in Deuteronomy. No, it was in Exodus. I forgot. 34 is again, or 24? Exodus 34, right? What verse is it again? Thank you.
There's the book of Exodus, chapter 34 and verse 22. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end.
And the feast of ingathering at the year's end. Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Remember, the feast of ingathering at the year's end. Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. And I want verse 10.
Leviticus 23 verse 10. Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when you become into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest.
So when you reap the harvest, this is the feast of first fruits, you brought a sheaf of your harvest. Read on.
And he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord, to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. And he shall offer that day, when he wave the sheaf, an he lamb without blemish of the first year, for a burnt offering unto the Lord.
Now look what it says. And you shall offer that day, when you wave the sheaf, a he lamb. The sheaf you wave over your head for the people to see. It says a sheaf and a he lamb without blemish of the first year, for a burnt offering unto the Lord. The Most High said you had to bring him a lamb without blemish. Do you understand that that's the beginning of the year? That means you had to have food for that sheep or lamb to survive through that mean season. So it's without blemish to bring that to the Lord. Now watch this. Read on.
Verse 13. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour, mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto the Lord for a sweet savor.
Now it says, and the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deal of fine flour, mingled with oil. So you had to bring flour. Remember it says in Exodus 34, you had to have the wheat harvest, right? So let's say you had a bad year and you didn't have it, and you need to borrow money, or you need to borrow. The Lord commanded those of us that had could not deal evil with your brother. Go to the book of Deuteronomy 24. This again, falling on hard times because of sin. 24 verse 6.
Deuteronomy chapter 24 and verse 6. No man shall take the nether or the upper millstone to pledge, for he taketh a man's life to pledge.
So when you found a brother that was going through hard times, it says here, you was not to take the nether or upper millstone. Those are those big round pieces of stone that they would roll the wheat over to make the flour. Why it says that? Because it was what?
For he taketh a man's life to pledge.
Because that's how he survived. He needed to. You can't. So somebody run to hard times. Just like one of us running to hard times, and like, yo, I need to borrow some money. All right, well, I'm gonna take your car to hold so I can get it. Well, that's how I go to work. I need the car to go to work to pay you back. That's how we was dealing evil with our brothers. He said, you can't take that because you have to bring to the Lord a lamb and the fine, this says the wheat. Did it say the fine wheat? Did it use the word fine in it in Leviticus? The fine flour. You couldn't take it. So what were we doing? We were taking each other's children. We were taking each other's, that you wasn't allowed to take their children and work them rigor. You took their land, but you had to redeem it back to them. But all this was caused because of sin. Now watch this. We're going to come back to Leviticus. We're going to wrap it up in a second. I'm going to go to the book of Nehemiah real quick. And I want to read this concerning how we dealt with each other when we were down and out. Nehemiah 5. Let's start with verse 1.
Nehemiah chapter 5 and verse 1. And there was a great cry of the people and of their wives against their brethren the Jews. For there were that said, we, our sons and our daughters, are many. Therefore we take up corn for them, that we may eat and live. Some also there were that said, we have mortgaged our lands, vineyards, and houses, that we might buy corn because of the dearth.
Because of the dearth. Now, some of them had to sell their land because of the dearth. It was nothing growing there. Read on.
There were also that said, we have borrowed money for the king's tribute, and that upon our lands and vineyards, yet now our flesh is as the flesh of our brethren, our children as their children. And lo, we bring into bondage our sons and our daughters to be servants. And some of our daughters are brought unto bondage already. Neither is it in our power to redeem them. For other men have our lands and vineyards.
So you had other Israelites that were doing okay, and they took advantage of their brothers who were in despair. These people sold their mortgaged off their lands. We read that in Leviticus 25. They have sold their children into servitude. We read that in Leviticus 25 and Exodus 21. Read on.
And I was very angry when I heard their cry and these words. Then I consulted with myself, and I rebuked the nobles and the rulers, and said unto them, ye exact usury, every one of his brother. And I set a great assembly against them. And I said unto them, we after our ability have redeemed our brethren the Jews, which were sold unto the heathen.
We were sold unto the heathen because we sinned against God. Remember, this was in the time of Assyria. Read on.
And will ye even sell your brethren?
And will you do the same thing to your brethren? Read on.
Or shall they be sold unto us? Then held they their peace, and found nothing to answer. Also I said, it is not good that you do, or ye not to walk in the fear of our God, because of the reproach of the heathen, our enemies? I'm sorry,
read that again.
Verse 9. Also I said, it is not good that ye do, or ye not to walk in the fear of our God, because of the reproach of the heathen, our enemies?
Read on.
I likewise, and my brethren, and my servants might exact of them money and corn. I pray you, let us leave off this usury.
We would use them, take their money and their corn, their livelihood. They were starving. They didn't have much, so they have to mortgage off their house. Let's go back to Leviticus 23. Again, a couple more scriptures. Leviticus 23.
And what verse you wanted, Bishop?
Verse 13.
Verse 13. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto the Lord, for a sweet savor. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the 4th part of an hin. And he shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears, until the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
So it says, ye shall not eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears. So you couldn't eat of the wheat flour. You couldn't eat, the point I want at it is the parched corn. The green ears are the beginning of the year harvest, first fruits, the young corn. He said, but you were not to eat parched corn. Where did that parched corn come from? Why did they parch corn in the first place? Anybody know? Somebody? To preserve it from when? What? From when? Say that? Okay. From the end of the year harvest. Now I want you real quick. Google corn harvest. What time of year? Tell me when you find it. Somebody found it? What time of year is generally the corn harvest? Okay, read it again. Just read it. Tell me what you got.
Check. What time of year is corn harvest? Typical corn harvest dates vary across the country based on number of factors. However, the Corn Belt typically prepares to begin the fall harvest sometime in September.
So generally, the corn harvest is this time of the year, towards the end of the year. That's why when you see, remember, you see those little things, the little pictures they have with the pilgrims. There was always corn on the table because it's a time of year we would harvest. We would parch the corn to make it through the winter months. So let's read that real quick. Joshua 5:11.
This is the book of Joshua, chapter 5 and verse 11. And they did eat of the old corn of the land on the morrow, after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn in the self same day.
So that it called it the old corn. So let's go back to Leviticus. Verse 14.
And ye shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears, until the selfsame day that ye have brought in offering unto your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
That's why it says old corn, because that corn was the corn left over. Now remember, that corn survived. It wasn't mildewed. It was no blasting. Your storehouse wasn't cursed. Remember it says your basket or your store, it survived. So we better thank the Most High for what we have, for having a roof over our head. One thing real quick. When we read in Nehemiah about us keeping the feast of booths again, or was it Ezra? I'm sorry, Ezra, right? Ezra. Nehemiah. What did Ezra say? Oh, Ezra was the prophet. I'm sorry, in the Nehemiah, that's right. When we was keeping it, what struck me was that from the time of Joshua, we did not keep it. Now, you do read where we keep the Feast of Tabernacles in there, but we didn't commemorate the Feast of Booths. We got into a land, we was comfortable, we was doing good, we was moved into the land, there's no need for it. Whatever reason we didn't do it. But we came back and read at the book of the law. Now, here's the thing. How did we get to that point where we forgot it? What happened? Jeremiah 17:4. Read that for me.
Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
Because we were disconnected from the laws of God, or heritage, which are the laws of God. We were disconnected from it. Why were we disconnected from the laws of God? Verse 1.
The sin of Judah is...
What? Why?
The sin of Judah is written with a pen of iron and with the point of a diamond.
It was because sin was so etched in our mind, God could not dwell in this tabernacle right here. He disconnected from us because we were so ingrained in our sins that we forgot what it was to serve God. God said, I'm going to forsake you, and you're going to be disconnected. So this tabernacle was of no use to God, and we had no use of his tabernacle. But guess what? It wasn't until Ezra, when we got back into land under Ezra, the laws were being rehearsed to the people again. Go back to Ezra real quick, because there's a point in Ezra. Ezra, I'm saying Ezra. Nehemiah that we didn't read. I want you to read Nehemiah, the 8th chapter again, and watch what the first verse says. I hope I'm right. Let me just see it.
Nehemiah chapter 8 and verse 1.
There's something. Give me a second. Let me go there with you before you read it. It's the wrong thing. I can't find Nehemiah. There we go. Nehemiah. Bear with me. Yes. Yeah, okay, read it. Watch this.
Nehemiah 8 and verse 1. And all the people gathered themselves together as one man into the street.
That's what I want. And all the people gathered themselves together as one man. That's what we're doing today. We're all gathering together with one mind, under one consent, to serve the only true God and remember the blessings that he gave us. Now read on.
And all the people gathered themselves together as one man into the street that was before the water gate. And they spake unto Ezra the scribe to bring the book of the law of Moses, which the Lord had commanded to Israel.
And they wanted the laws of God. Read on.
And Ezra the priest brought the law before the congregation, both of men and women, and all that could hear with understanding, upon the first day of the 7th month.
What was the first day of 7th month? Huh? Memorial blowing the trumpets. Thank you. The new moon. The memorial. But here's the point I want. These people was ripe for it, because they just came out of captivity. It was going through it. So they was ripe to hear, how do I serve God better? What must I do? Read on.
And he read therein before the street that was before the water gate, from the morning until midday, before the men and the women, and those that could understand. And the ears of all the people were attentive unto the book of the law.
Jump on down to verse 8.
Verse 8. So they read in the book, in the law of God, distinctly, and gave the sense, and caused them to understand the reading.
So I'm asking, did you all understand the reading today?
Yes, sir.
So you understand the reason the Most High gave us this Feast of Tabernacles. And more importantly, is you can't keep it unless your tabernacle is right with God. All right, so with that, I pray that everybody got some understanding about this feast day, that we keep it in joy and happiness, the Sabbath day that we have, that in all things we do it to bring honor to the Lord and bring our people back to his laws under his son, Jesus the Christ.
Hey, is everybody got bread and wine yet? No? I cannot see nothing. But anyway, before we break bread and wine, I'll just make a quick announcement. And I'm just not making this announcement for right now, but sisters, especially your sisters, every time we find ourselves in a park like this, big as this, keep your eyes on these kids, please. I don't know why some of you trust Esau with your kids. I don't even trust other Negroes with my kids. I'm just telling you. You see how it's dark? When it's dark like that, you should know where your kids is at. We should know. Yes, we got brothers. We put to keep eyes open, but your kids should not be wondering why in this dark. It's going to be very hard if one of them missing for us to find them. So be very, very mindful. Be very careful.
You know what that means? You got to actually tend to them. You can't get caught in a conversation with other sisters. Oh yeah, girl, and the next they listen. Don't send your kids to the bathroom, and we should have security posted at every bathroom. Don't send your little ones to the bathroom like that. I'm telling you, somebody disappear. I'm telling you, this is y'all better pay attention. Don't get caught up. Make sure you keep them under you, or assign people that you trust around them. Keep them around you, because Lord forbid anything happens, right? That's a good point you made. And on security, they should have security posted at every bathroom. All right, deacons, anybody want to say something?
Who don't have bread and wine? I cannot see nothing.
Oh, we have bread and wine?
Yeah, we got bread and wine.
Praises.
Everybody got it? Hey, brothers and sisters, whoever don't have bread and wine, can you please make sure they got bread and wine? Cap, got this scripture? Huh? Oh, there's a few of them who still don't have it? All right. Cap, give them a couple of minutes. Yes,
sir. So we can't. We have. Oh, yeah? We having a concert? Anything tonight? Let's go. All right. Well, listen. We have a sign language. We have a sign language party. We have an ASL party. Captain Shemaiah. Yeah. So we have a music tonight. Okay. What time? Check. What time is the end? 10 o'clock. Yeah. It's gonna be an ASL concert. All right, man, Esau got us under discipline. You guys. Everybody gonna have AirPods in. Let's go.
Hey, real quick, I want to just take this time right now to thank Alabama, aka Atlanta.
Why was it so hard for you to say that? All
Listen
praises.
to me, man. All praises to the Most High. Man, listen, y'all's hospitality, I'm going to be real with y'all. When it comes to tabbing like this, bro, straight up, I've never experienced the level of hospitality I've experienced here. All praises to the Most High God. And there's no gay bugs. This is dope.
There's no what?
No gay bugs, man. No gay bugs.
Hey, real talk. Bill just said that. Okay, Lava, what you want to say?
Yeah, that don't mean you're invited next year, bro. Lord's willing. I see that flattering. Yeah, I never see great things like that. I know what's behind that.
Hey, you know what the joke is? Lava's not even from Atlanta.
He ain't even from here.
He's not even invited. He said, but hey, no, real talk. And I've said this to Deacon before. I'm talking about Malachi. And to all captains in Atlanta. Yo, the machine that y'all got moving, man, I'm telling you something, is well-oiled, man. I'm amazed to see how each department works independent of each other, but together collectively. Every time I come, it's like you all know what to do. You don't have to be, maybe, I hope I'm not wrong, but y'all don't have to be that's the word, thank you, micromanage. I get up very early in the morning, and when I'm up early, I pay attention to out there, and I'm seeing the different departments already up and working. Other place you go, people are there, nobody's there. You all got really a good thing what y'all got, and with all the different teams, man, I'm really impressed with y'all. Really impressed. All praises, man. Most High got a machine moving. Most High got a machine moving over here. All praises to Most High. Y'all got a machine. All praises. So we ready to break bread? And everybody, real quick, real talk. Let's give a hand to Laba. Come on, Laba, let's go. Let's
Whoa, Bishop. I need
Laba be having
behind
two.
it. I think it's something behind it.
Because I ain't giving no hand.
Something behind it.
No, not behind it.
Bishop, why are you trying to let the people know that I'm not from Atlanta? They call me the floater. I float everywhere.
I am
the floater.
Let's break bread. Let's go.
Sorry, D. You might need a double glasses, bro.
wrap your minds around that. This is bigger than us just coming together for Feast of Tabernacles. The scriptures say we're going to be taken up and dropped to another location. That's how we're going to be delivered, because this place is about to burn. The world's coming to an end. You're here, you're witnessing the end of the world.
What's real, and what ain't. I've been gone, now I'm in. Now what's real, and what ain't. I've been good, can't complain. I got the spirit you willing, I got the feeling you feeling. I'm on my feet in this way back, focus on nothing but healing. I'm only one out of a million.
That's how we do it, baby. You know what I'm saying? You say it can be done. I say it can be done. Yes, it can be done.
In the building, he telling lies and he stealing. He said the laws in the way, but he said Tyler can stay.
First Corinthians. No, I'm good. I can see. Chapter 11, verse 23. For I have received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you, that the Lord Jesus, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, Take, eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup. And when he had supped, saying, This cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye, as oft as ye drink it, in remembrance of me. For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, you do show the Lord's death till he come. Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth and drinketh damnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. For this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep. In the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, we say, Amen.
Yeah, Captain Isaac. The bread. Slamming. That's what I'm talking about. Clap their hand for the sister.
You want me to call it? All right, brothers, I'm about to turn it up. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? What color is he? What color is he? What color is he? Who's the king? Who's the king? Who's the king? Never give up. Never give up. Never give up. Now finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord. His what? His what? His what? His what?
Hey, Cap, what you want to do?
Hey, Deke, there's a couple of performances by the youth. Yeah, there's a couple of them. Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, sir. It's gonna be shit for y'all. Ready? So we're just gonna move these cameras real quick.